So I started my YouTube channel when I was 47 years old. I had no intention of ever starting a YouTube channel. Elizabeth and I are both physical therapists. We have a small practice tucked away in the corner of Washington, Bellingham, Washington specifically. We go about our business, treating our clients. It was a little bit scary, but I did. And I can tell you this, it has changed my life. So as a physical therapist, right, you go into the clinic and you get some exercises from your physical therapist. And so what I would do is I would evaluate them and I'd get down on the floor and say, okay, look, these are the exercises that I want you to do. And I would demonstrate the exercises to them, and this is how I want you to do it, and this is what it's for. And then I would have them get down on the floor and demonstrate it as well too. And everything was great. And I granted to give them a piece of paper that had a picture of the exercise, but not the full description of the exercise, because of course it's just on a sheet of paper. And then I'd send them away, and they'd come back a couple weeks later, and they'll be like, oh, Ed, I stopped doing your exercises, man. And I'm like, okay, well, how come? And they're like, well, I started to do them regularly, and I was actually in more pain. And so I stopped doing them. I said, okay, well, that was smart that you stopped doing them. So I said, well, what did it look like when you were doing the exercises? And so they got on the floor and they showed me. Really? And I was super frustrated with that. I'm like, okay, that's not quite what I showed you how to do. So then I decided, you know what if I just take the time and film me doing the exercises, upload it to YouTube, and then give them the link. And so that's what I started to do. I would say, look, I've already uploaded these 3 exercises. I'm gonna give you the link tonight, check your emails, and you'll be able to follow along with me with the exercises. Now, initially I kept all the videos unlisted because you know what? Who wants to see a 47-year-old dude doing exercises on YouTube? Then I had clients come back and start asking me, hey, look, do you mind if I send that video over to my sister in New York? Because you know what? She's having some back pain as well, too. So I said, well, okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. And it wasn't that I was trying to hide the material. I was just embarrassed. I'm like, okay, it wasn't the best video, the lighting, everything else. And then I get feedback like, you know what? My sister says thank you because you know what? It really helped her as well too. So then I got to thinking about that. I'm like, well, okay, you know, it's typically what happens here in the US, right? Let's say you have a shoulder issue. You go and you maybe see the primary care doctor who says, yeah, you know, maybe you got a rotator cuff tear. And then maybe you get an ultrasound or maybe you get an MRI. And based upon that, you might have to go see an orthopedic surgeon, have surgery. Or they might like, you know what, it's just a small tear, it's bursitis, go physical therapy. And then you go to physical therapy for 6, 8, 10 sessions, whatever it is. And that's pretty standard level of care in the US if you have insurance. But what I started to realize is that that's really pretty privileged because in many parts of the world, that doesn't work that way. You just don't have access or the financial ability to do that. Everything is private pay. My family's from India, and my parents live in India right now, and everything is pretty much private pay. So if you don't have the money, you are not doing those types of things. And so what do? You go to YouTube. So initially all my videos were unlisted, so you had to have the link to do it. And I thought, you know what? I don't know. Let me just make it public so anyone who stumbles upon it, maybe there's a few dozen people that see it, that maybe don't have access to a physio, and they might appreciate the knowledge. Even though the videos weren't very good, the knowledge was there. I mean, the lighting wasn't good, the camera wasn't good, foam roller, okay? The sound wasn't good, here, but Amazon, you know, it was decent content. I mean, it was good content. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. And so what I realized is that the viewer will give you a lot of grace if your content is solid. And then people were just appreciative because remember, YouTube is free. All I need is a phone or a computer. I would start getting comments literally from people all over the world. Like, hey, wow, thanks, this really helped me. Cue the music. It's gonna sound a little sappy. I can only reach so many people sitting here in Northwest Washington in Bellingham in my small clinic, seeing, you know, 8 to 10 patients in a day. But it does seem pretty cool that I'm able to reach people, obviously not with my hands, but with my knowledge, literally all over the world. Now, it's kind of crazy to think, but the channel has had over 15 million views. So that's 15 million people that have seen some sort of content that I've created, and that's kind of staggering to think about. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe this is my small contribution to humanity, right? Because, you know, I'm 56 years old right now, and I'm not going to be doing this forever, but at least maybe the videos can live on, and maybe there is a possibility that some of this knowledge that I've accrued over 30 plus years of physical therapy might be helpful for the next generation or for someone else. And then I have to think that everybody out there, if you're watching this, you have a specific skill. Maybe you're not the best in the world. Lord knows I'm not the best physical therapist in the world, but there's something that you do that you are pretty good at it. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's auto mechanic, maybe it's fixing up your lawnmower. But what if you just got your phone out, started filming something, put it out there, just to see what happens, and maybe be able to have that be your contribution to humanity. Okay, we can stop the music now. The second way YouTube has changed my life is the opportunities it has afforded me. So let's be clear, YouTube is very much a hobby for me. I'm not a full-time YouTuber or anything like that. You know, we've got 3 kids, they're getting older now, but you know, typical dad stuff, coaching basketball, all those kinds of things. So I'd film very inconsistently. Sometimes I'd get in a groove and film 2 or 3 at a time, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be consistent. And then I would literally go months and not post at all. So that being said, you know, it's also you get out what you put into it, right? But my main bread and butter, my main practice, my main focus, my passion was treating clients in the clinic. And so that's what I did. However, I've always thought about, you know what, someday I'd like to write a book. Maybe just a book on exercise, just something, I don't know, I just always thought it'd be cool to write a book, to be able to, once again, take some of this knowledge that I've accrued, put it out there, and plus I thought it'd be pretty cool to walk into a library or bookstore and say, hey, look, you know, there's my book. But I would have never done it had it not been for YouTube. And the reason is because, like everyone else, I'm busy and I knew nothing about publishing. Besides posting a few blogs, I knew nothing about self-publishing, editing, illustrating, none of that stuff. So I was like, you know what, maybe sometime in the future, maybe after I retire, I'd do it, but definitely right now, when I'm in the throes of my career, I'm not gonna do it. Well, an interesting thing happened. I was approached by a publisher that happened to see some of my videos that I had done, and I cater to a lot of older clientele, so a lot of my videos are geared towards, you know, maybe people 60 and older type of thing, and osteoporosis and things like that. So they reached out and they said, hey, look, do you wanna collaborate and write a book? And we will get you set up with an editor, an illustrator, we'll help you market it, we'll help you along the way, but we wanna collaborate and use your expertise and write a book. So I thought about it, and I met with the editor, and I thought, you know what the heck? It's gonna be a lot of work, but when am I gonna get this opportunity to have basically someone lead me through this process? So I went ahead and did it. And about a year later, I've got a book, 10-minute strength exercises for seniors, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Once again, great positive feedback. Put a link down below in case you're interested in checking it out, or probably just go to your local library and check it out as well too. And so that opened up a whole nother host of opportunities for me. And now I'm like, well, okay, I'm a published author, and it just adds some credibility to it. And it was a fun project. That was an opportunity that would have never come my way had it not been for YouTube. Now, what's interesting when you try to start YouTube as a older person, how the kind of reactions you get. So when I started it at 47, my kids were 2 of my 3 kids were teenagers. And some of their friends, when they found out, I mean, I was kind of sheepish at first, right? Like, what are you doing on YouTube? You prank channel? I'm like, no, it's not a prank channel. But once I started explaining it to them, they were like, wow, Mr. Dabu, that's awesome, that's cool, I'll check it out, and I'll subscribe to your channel. Oh, you got 32 subscribers, that's awesome. That was kind of cool. But then I told my peers, right, who were in their 40s, 50s, you know, that kind of stuff, and they're like, you're starting a YouTube channel? You could just tell by the way they asked, like, wow, okay, Ed's going through some sort of midlife crisis here. So I made it a point to really not tell my friends about it. And it's just kind of one of those things that started to develop. But it was really interesting because it was almost like people my age were like, why are you starting a YouTube channel now? Do you need to see someone about this or something? I'm now since over that. You know, people can say and think what they want to. They can give me the side eye when they find out I have a YouTube channel, but you know what? It's fun. I've been learning a whole heck of a lot because it's a whole different skill set, right? You have to learn about camera angles and filming and microphone and sound quality and all those types of things. And I enjoy learning. And so it's just a whole nother avenue to kind of keep expanding my skills. And right, let's be honest, you know, I mean, I'm 56 now, and anyone who's watching this in their 40s and 50s, if you're honest, at least for me it is, the old processing speed's not what it used to be. It takes me a little bit longer to learn something than, say, my 23 or 25-year-old son. My 19-year-old daughter, I'm probably still faster than her. But anyway, So it's a great way to stay cognitively challenged and pushing yourself to learn new things. The last thing people ask me about is, well, is there really any money in YouTube? And once again, let me preface this. This is very much a hobby for me. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't do it full time. I post, like I said, sporadically. So the only way I really make any money from YouTube is through AdSense, which you probably know what that is. But basically is if someone watches your video and then YouTube will play a commercial some point in time during the video, and then you split the revenue with Google, basically. And then once a month they send you a check or they deposit some money in your account. And obviously the bigger your channel, the more views you get, the more AdSense there is. So the AdSense, I kind of look at it as it's a very small portion of my income, but sometimes it can add up to things, right? So it's a nice little side hustle as well too. Would I still do it if it wasn't for the money? Probably, to be honest with you, just because of it's great marketing for a small business. Like I said, Elizabeth and I are in a small PT practice here in town, and there are a lot of good therapists in town. But all of a sudden, if they're out there searching for, shoulder rehab Bellingham, and one of my videos pops up, and I say, hey, I'm from Bellingham, Washington. So I've had a number of clients, and I always ask them on the intake, how'd you find me? And they're like, hey, I found you from the internet or YouTube. And I found out you were in Bellingham, and I was like, wow, I'm gonna come in and see you. We live close to Vancouver, so I've had people from British Columbia drive down and see me that would have never seen me had they not seen a YouTube video. So for a marketing standpoint, I just look at it as my outreach, my way to give back to humanity. So I'd probably still do it. But that being said, if you have the right video at the right time, it can bring in some significant ad revenue if it tends to go quote unquote viral or get a lot of views. So for example, 5 strengthening exercises that all seniors should do daily. And it was doing okay, but then I want you to see this spike right here. And this, yeah, you guessed it, was the pandemic. So now everybody was at home, nobody was going to the gym, nobody was seeing their physical therapist or trainer or anything like that. And people were doing what we're doing right now, watching videos, and they're like, well, I need to do some strength training at home, otherwise I'm gonna lose conditioning. So that video happened to be at the right place at the right time, and it just exploded. But if you look at this, you can see this video has almost 4 million views. It's added almost 75,000 subscribers, and it's made this one video $33,370. And that's all passive revenue. It took me a while to edit, of course, the video and put it up online. Let's be honest, this is not the typical video that I do. So this was just really 1 in a million, or in this case, 1 in 4 million. Most of my videos don't really do that well. But my point is that if you're in the right place at the right time, it can be a game changer. And the nice thing about this video is it continues to produce revenue every month, even though I made it years ago. Well, thanks if you're still watching this far into the video. I can tell you this in summary, that if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, even if you're in your late 40s like I was, it can really be a game changer, and have realistic expectations. It's definitely not something, in my experience, has been where you're gonna get rich quickly. Post feature videos about just some ideas I have about, because I've been doing this almost 10 years now, and kind of, looking back on it, what I learned, and I wish someone would have told me, just so that you're a little bit more prepared for this YouTube journey. Well, thank you very much. It's been fun talking about it. If you have started a channel recently, or if you're going to, leave it down below in the comments. We have a lot of wisdom to impart on the next generation. And so take care, everyone. We'll see you at the next video.